taking a few minutes here as people join. Hello, Pierce and friend.
Aloha.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah. That's great. Okay. You guys all ready to get started here? Okay.
Can you see these lovely guests?
I can,
yeah.
two have, Emily and Pierce have shared their video. So I don't know.
Is that they don't show up on my screen?
Okay, you might have to like scroll through. There should be different options to switch your screen. I don't, like at the bottom.
Thumbnail video.
I'm not exactly sure.
There they are.
Okay. Yay.
Hi, Emily.
Hi guys, I'm really happy to be here. Crystal and Nick, I love you guys. You guys are amazing for all of your research. And Matt Senna talks very highly of you guys. You've helped him and we love your work, so.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, we're happy to have you all here. And as I'm sure all of you know, we're here to talk about the Golden Elixir, the Shivambu, Healing Waters Within. So many different names for it, which I like because then you can like pick and choose what you resonate with, how you want to present it to others and yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're here with Brother Sage and all of our friends today. So we're just going to be basically just doing a Q&A. So, and if you guys have like testimonials you want to share or experiences, whether it's like your own or other people's you've heard, you know, as long as you have their permission and, or you can just not share their name if that's the case too. So, okay. So someone's just saying in the chat, not able to change video to start. Yeah, there should be a setting at the bottom there. That.
Or a toolbar with little icons.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys are all, I think, able to unmute yourselves. I ask that you do, unless you're not speaking, keep yourself muted. You know, Brother Sage, you're going to be, you know, answering, so you can keep yourself unmuted all the time. Because sometimes like background noises will pick up. So yeah. Who wants to start? Any questions you want to start with?
Look at all these
Okay.
beautiful souls.
Yeah.
I know. A lot of these folks are from that group, the rebirthing group, I would presume.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, maybe oh, go ahead.
Who's from the rebirthing group here?
Yeah.
Anybody?
Show of hands.
Who does conscious breathing in this group? Let's see your hands. Yay.
Yeah, well, I guess just to kind of like break the ice and create like a comfortable space here, I can go ahead and, you know, start with like my journey with the Shivambu. I have been practicing for about 7 years. Nick actually introduced it to me when we met. And I think you first heard about it from Brother Sage, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's kind of this like line of,
That's nice.
yeah.
Nice
Yep.
circle.
Yeah. And now we're circling back around and meet together again. And when I first heard about it, like I didn't question it at all. I'm just like, oh, well, that's interesting. I'd never really heard that at all. And I wasn't like hesitant and I just drank it. And it was a little like odd at first, like, because you know how we're programmed to, you know, think it's like waste and gross. It was a little just like kind of odd in my mind to be consuming my urine, but I wasn't like hesitant at all.
Yeah, she didn't have any combat competitive energy towards it.
Yeah.
I think women and mothers would be the least opposed to it, just because they're more connected to the natural rhythms of life and
Right.
nature.
Yeah, and I've kind of gone like up and down. Like there'll be times where I don't practice as much as I should, how things like go along with the sine wave. But one of my favorite ways to use it that we had heard about it, but we didn't live in a place where we could like practice it, 'cause we live in Minnesota for most of our lives, and most of the year it's like cold, and so it's hard to like go outside in the sun and apply it to the skin. But when we moved to Mexico, we had this amazing deck, and at that point we were practicing just like we were completely nude on our sunny deck, and we just slathered our whole bodies with it like all day long. And that's the most transformation I've ever seen in myself.
Yep, me too.
Yeah.
Took me forever to finally do that. I was hearing about putting aged urine on the skin or even fresh urine for, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, since Harry Matadine mentioned it. And I never got to it, like 6, because we were in Minnesota. But boy, when we put that on, I could see my body reshape, reform, posture change. Man, I felt so much. Every time I went inside after doing that, it felt like I was 10 years old and I was swimming all day. Like I had this just amazing euphoria. And that was every time. It wasn't just 1 or 2 times. It was every day like that for about a year. Did we do it for?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a miracle.
Yeah.
And you think you'll ever stop? People ask that question. A lot of people go in and out of nutritional products, go in and out of spiritual paths, go in and out of relationships. The question is, do you think you or anybody who's watching this show that's in part of this golden journey would ever quit?
Not completely, but like I said, I go through like those moments of like not drinking it, and it's probably when I'm not eating as well as I could be, and then therefore it's not as satiating.
I think the only time we'd slow up on it is a slight disconnection from source, because it's the best thing ever. It's the best food ever. Just try. People who are listening out there one time who are into this and who are going to do it, who are already doing it. If you're hungry and your meal is ready, it's lunchtime, just try drinking like a half pint or so of urine, aged urine, fresh and aged mixed, whichever. Just try that and tell me you don't feel amazing. I'm pretty sure 8 out of 10 people are just going to feel incredibly euphoric and fulfilled.
Yeah.
Because what your body does when you eat, it takes the food you eat and tries to make blood out of it. That's what it's doing. And that's why you're debilitated if you eat a lot of starch and acids, trying to turn that into a good blood. But if you just drink urine, which is blood plasma, the best of the blood, it can make that into blood so easily. And it makes it into this highly magnetic blood, which just puts you in a etherical state of consciousness where you're connected to source and not weighted down. Yeah.
Excellent. So what you're saying is, and just to do a quick overview of what this water is, the body comes with a blueprint. The body comes with the architectural design of every cell, your DNA, it's all encoded in the body. The body has what the chiropractors call innate intelligence. So what it's doing is it does a read on your plasma. It's going into your kidneys. It does a read on it. And if there's anything that seems to appear as a contaminant, a threat, whatever it is, it builds an antibody. It builds a remedy. It throws in a whole bunch of trillions of stem cells with thousands of nutrients that will become the best medicine ever for you. So one of the things we like to say is the best of you is given to you so you can become the best of you. Does that make any sense?
Yes. Yeah.
You're drinking the essence of what your mom gave you inside the womb for 9 months. You're basically recreating the womb atmosphere by having your temple cleaned and healed of all the things that you don't want to take on your journey. So it's the most loving and sacred act you can do is to return your water to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Yeah. It is the complete act of self-love.
Yeah, as astrologers here, medical astrologers, we wrote a little book on medical astrology. It's a compilation of information we've gathered, but Venus is the ruler of urine, and Venus is the solar plexus, which is yellow, which is right by the kidneys. And Venus is a benefic, which brings benefit. It's one of the planets that bring beneficial energy to your life. Urine brings benefit to you because it's a benefic compound.
And Venus is love.
That's where I was going. Venus is love, self-love.
Yeah.
Because the only time you don't want to drink your urine is if you don't love yourself, if you're not in a state of love.
Yeah. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. And here's my story for those that want to know.
Yes.
There was 2 books that I was with in 1994. The book that was my urine therapy Bible is The Golden Fountain by Cohen van der Krooten out in Holland. He's got a different cover these days, but this came out in 1994. And this was the most thorough book on the subject at the time. Okay, so that book was my Bible. I studied it inside and out. I didn't.
Okay. Sorry, brother. I'm muting everyone and asking you to unmute. Okay. There we go.
Right. All right. So I don't know if you have to check the whiteboard or not, but if it
Yeah,
pops up.
I don't think it's on right now.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So this show is also a class for all of us to learn from. Obviously. So that book taught me a lot of technique, but it didn't jazz me until I started reading Leonard's book, The Secrets of Youthing. Now, in his book, he laid out the Damar Tantra, which was the 9-year program that Shiva gave to Parvati. Do you know who these characters are?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So one day, the funny story is one day Parvati was asking her.
Okay.
All right, you got the comedy routine going here.
Yeah, I'm trying to manage this.
Holy
All
moly.
right, Emily, keep holding space over there. Sweetie.
I didn't think this would even be an issue, but
Excuse me. You're gonna have to check Peter Eichel.
okay. Can you? Thank you guys for your patience.
The light is bait for the dark.
You know, one option is to make it where you just require them to go through a waiting room and then you let them in. Like
Well, yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like-
that's what I have, but I don't know who anybody is.
Yeah, right. Like for some reason that worked on my calls. Now I might just be getting lucky because you say you're doing that right now and there's still issues.
Well, I just clicked allow participant. I just unclicked to allow people to unmute themselves. So if you have anything to say, at the bottom, there will be a reactions and you can raise your hand and we'll see that. So if you guys have anything to share or questions or whatever, then you will just raise your hand because apparently we can't have people being able to unmute themselves. So thanks. Okay.
Okay, so
I think we're good, Sage.
Okay, so what happened was I read the book, but I wasn't really jazzed about it. I didn't have any illness at the time. I just thought this is, I've been looking at cutting edge things all my whole life and things that were outside of the agreed upon ways of looking at things and perceiving things. And then I got a copy of Leonard's book, The Secrets of Youthing. And after he laid out this whole thing of the Damar Tantra, how Shiva tells his partner, about her water and how to live a long life and how to be physically immortal, Leonard goes through and describes how he healed everything, all his illnesses, including senility, including all kinds of incurables. Well, it dawned on me that he kept referencing Babaji, and Babaji and I have an interesting connection as well. And he always referred to Babaji as Lord Shiva, as Shiva. And so without even thinking it through, I'm going, oh, Shiva sent Leonard, who's my mentor, to tell me to drink my pee. I didn't even have to go through any navigating in my brain. I'm going, good enough for them. I'm in.
Yep. Yeah, it's just like this inner knowing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
For me, like you just hear it and you're just like, oh, yeah.
That's really
Right?
That's very interesting how that got passed around, because you inherited it in that manner and I inherited it from you in that manner. I seen a little post you made on Facebook because we were friends in the third eye pineal gland group in like 2014, like the only spiritual group on Facebook back then. And I added you as a friend, and then one day your thing popped up on my feed and it just said, if you drink your pee, everything's fine, or something. It's like the simplest thing. And I was just
Yeah.
like, that makes sense.
I went a little farther on that idea, and that is this. For all the people who are following what's going on in the alternative media, I won't have to name them because you guys know what I'm talking about. And there's concern about them GMOing our food and things dropping out of the sky and landing on our food and our water and everything being taken out or being contaminated. Listen to this. This is a life-saving thought here. If you can urinate and collect it in the palm of your hands, you can make it. You can thrive. If they take out our food, you carry yours in a secret container called your bladder. And this is proven over and over again by people who've been fasting for 3 days, 7 days, a month, longer on their Shivambhu.
Yeah, and it not only works when it's working, but it also works when it's not working, as in it puts your mind at ease just knowing that you have this medicine all the time. Maybe you don't have money for all the supplements everyone's always into. Well, you don't need that because you actually have the best one with you all the time and you're producing and making it all the time. So it just puts you at ease.
Yeah, and then it's like recycling the minerals and supplements and nutrients that you are ingesting anyways. So why just urinate them out and they just go to waste when you can like reuse them?
Right. Well, you made a good point. You started talking about nutrients, and people report. Now, many of you who have been watching the social media platforms on urine therapy, Facebook, Telegram, Instagram, whatever, gram, and you'll notice more and more people saying, I feel calm. I feel relaxed about things that would normally trigger you. I'm not upset so much. I'm able to compose myself. Well, if you look deeply at the nutrient profile, by the way, there's a link that if you guys want it, it comes out of Canada, and it shows if you put in the parameters for human urine and metabiomes, it shows that there are 5,661 ingredients in human urine. So among those that people would go to the health food store to buy in order to relax themselves is in your pee: melatonin, serotonin, growth hormone, DHEA, oxytocin, magnesium, B vitamins, all range of things. It explains why people are calm when they drink their pee.
Yeah, and another miraculous aspect to urine is how negatively charged it is. If you take an ORP meter, which measures the negative voltage, urine was the only thing that I found that had such a negative voltage. Shilajit didn't show up negative voltage. Distilled water, as they say it does, did not. Like lime, I tried fulvic acid. I tried all the supplements I have, and everything was just 0 or positive. And urine was negative 120 millivolts, which is negative 1/10 of a volt. Fresh for everyone. And if you age it, it was negative 800 millivolts, which is almost an entire volt negative. So the negative voltage means it has magnetism, and magnetism is consciousness. Magnetism is the creation force. Magnetism waves don't dissipate. They keep going forever. Magnetism is what source consciousness is, and it's in your urine, out of all things.
Yeah.
Well, let's ask a question to Emily,
Yeah.
since she's my daughter, in case you didn't know that.
Yeah.
Emily, here's a question for you. How do you introduce this practice to newbies? How do you bridge the gap?
Well, it's not always easy. There's someone distracting me. I would say just follow your heart if someone needs to hear something. I don't know. Usually I bring it up in just conversations. Like I was talking to this girl who does her own gardening, and I said, I just didn't even bring up pee, but I was like, well, how do you water your plants, or what keeps those nutrients in the soil, and what do you use as your fertilizer? And then she just talked about pee. She said, oh, well, actually you can use your pee in the soil. I was like, well, look, see, I didn't even have to say anything to you. You kind of confirmed it. And sometimes it's always that simple. Sometimes you don't need to psych yourself out, and I don't know. But I like that kind of message where you can feel someone already has that information. It's just how can they relate their own practices to it? This woman loves gardening, right? So she already recognizes that she's using pee for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so she's already formed an association with it. So you already got 1 foot in the door.
Yeah,
It's like a stepping stone. People, with a lot of things, people like to take baby steps. They don't want to just jump all in, especially into something that, is so different. Right?
In the fall of consciousness, aka now, the correct things seem incorrect.
Yeah.
Profound indeed.
But I think consciousness is enhancing. And urine is consciousness because it is magnetically charged. Oh, another thing with the urine being negatively charged, magnetic, is when you research supplements, you need them to be negatively charged. Otherwise, it won't bind into the cell. If it's positively charged, it will be recognized as a spent mineral or metal, and and the body won't accept it. So for all your supplements out there, a lot of them are spent. They're positively charged already. Their magnetism has left. Urine hasn't been processed and put through machines and radiated. It came straight out of your magical human. And it has the magnetism for it to be bioavailable, all those enzymes and minerals.
You guys remember, and I have to mention our elder teachers a lot, and I think it's important to honor the teachers who have walked before you, the grandparents who have walked before you, the generations who have brought the wisdom from the past to today. And one of these brave souls was Andrew Norton Webber. And it was Andrew Norton Webber who brought to our attention the forms of distilled water on the planet, urine being one of them. And he went on to explain how do you measure what is a distilled water. By the way, if you take the word distilled apart, DISTILL means to do the opposite, which is to make active, distill. All right, so he went on to explain that the forms of distilled water are urine, glacial water, distilled water, and fruit juice. And the way we know how to confirm this, particularly in the urine, is thanks to the writings of Fiona Gardner out in California, that it has to have structures in it. Under magnification, when you see water and you see the crystalline structures, like they've done with zeolite, thank you guys, we have the same kind of microscopic images and you can see these on images of urine on Instagram, Fiona. So urine contains activated water, structured water, living water, bioavailable water. What's better than that?
Yeah, it's crystalline. It's crystalline. It's Christ. Because it has the crystalline, magnificent geometric structure within it. it pulls in Christ energy. Christ is a crystal.
And like when you let it age, I don't know if you've noticed on the sides of the jar, what forms? Crystals.
Yeah.
Crystals.
Yeah.
And you know where it goes when you dry it all out? Like some people will put about a half an inch in a baking pan and leave it out in the sun. What remains is Ormus gold. I mean, what's mind-blowing about the gold and this golden water, the deeper you go down into that well, the deeper you go down into that spring of life, you'll discover there's also gold molecules that have been identified. So in essence, we are drinking the golden light of Christ, or the golden hue of our God self. It's amazing.
It really is. This is what they did. This is what the greats did. This is what the immortals did. It's what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
If for anyone who knows supplements and spends time researching supplements and what Ormus is, orbitally rearranged monoatomic elements, and what edible gold and Ormus gold is, these are like the most expensive, profound supplements there are. And you know, if you're not collecting your urine in a jar, you're making it and peeing it out every day. I mean, we have our own Ormus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Ormus is a really peculiar thing. For alchemists that make pure Ormus powder, and if you were to put it on a scale, it won't show up as a weight on the scale. The scale will hover around in the negatives. It'll go all in the negatives. It'll never be stable, and it'll never be a positive weight. Pure Ormus powder. And if you put sunlight on this pure Ormus powder, it disappears. Because it's like a fifth dimensional object. It's in some other dimension, but it's also slightly tied to ours. And if you reheat the area where it disappeared, it'll reappear. It's the weirdest thing. But when you take Ormus, your thoughts will manifest. These alchemists made this incredibly potent red dragon Ormus, they called it. But it was so potent that people were manifesting things so fast, they had to hide it away in a trailer in the Appalachian Mountains because people were not positive enough and they were manifesting bad things. So that's a little bit about Ormus. But I think the Ormus in the urine is in the perfect ratio and strength.
Yeah. Someone's asking in the chat, slight digress, opinion on colloidal silver as an antibiotic. Yeah, I think myself, colloidal silver is a great tool. You can make it yourself very easily. You can get the silver rods and some, what are those, 9-volt batteries?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And put together a machine very simply and make it yourself. What do you guys think?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're talking colloidal structure, which is in the urine. Dr. David Jubb talks a lot about that.
Mm.
Yep. Yep.
About size particles, kind of like nano-sized.
Yeah. Oh, urine or colloidal silver is okay. It's in a metal form, which has been machined. It could lose a lot of its negative charge. So the silver that's in your urine would be negatively charged. So I would think that's better.
Mm.
And I think the metal silver from the metal rods kills good biotics as well as the bad.
Right.
And I think when prepared in the urine with all the enzymes and probiotics that the urine has, I think urine's always the answer when you look into it deep enough.
Mm-hmm.
But you could do both.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if this person is respectful or not. Carl. We will unmute you.
Moin, hello.
Hello, Carl. How are you?
Fine, and you?
Good, good.
My question is, I missed the begin from the Zoom meeting, and I want to ask what's about this meeting.
This is about urine therapy.
And immortality.
Yes.
Physical
okay.
immortality.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, and Matt Senna.
Hey guys,
Hey.
been working with, good to see you all. I've been working with marine plasma, and when you get a bunch of it, which is like plankton pee, it's really potent. When you get a bunch of it in a room, and you're putting it from container to container, it starts to evaporate slightly, and that starts to corrode metal of various kinds, like rapidly. Like if you park a car but down by the beach, and I know this is a slightly different topic, but if you park a car down by the beach for long enough, it'll start to rust out. But this is like that on steroids. So I'm thinking, and I mentioned this to you guys and Sage and Emily, I'm thinking about making an Orin tub. And one of the ways I wanted to heat it was with induction via metal. And this company that sells this one heating thing where it uses stainless steel, so the Orin would be in contact with stainless steel while I'm heating it. They think it would be fine. I'm not sure. Like especially aged, at this point I'm not sure, which is unfortunate. So I just wanted to bring this up because I'd rather just like have the space to do this and have the resources to try everything before I even bring it up, but that's not the case. I'm wondering if it'll work. Otherwise I'll have to use some kind of non-corrosive plastic, which totally exists. There's some really, really high quality plastics out there that probably wouldn't corrode at all. I mean, you can put hardcore acid in these plastics and there's no leaching of the plastic in there. And then we could probably heat that by induction. And at the end of the day, what I'm really interested in is an aged Orin tub because, of course, taking aged and rubbing it on the skin, just absolutely fantastic, like you guys were doing on the porch. I just want to make that actually easier, more relaxing, and more potent. Yeah, because it's so promising. So these are my current thoughts. Just wanted to share.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
I think the metal won't completely destroy the urine, but it will to some degree. I feel like it would ruin maybe 20% of its beneficial properties, maybe 10. But I see something happening with like hot rocks and stone and clay. What about all these ideas?
I mean, we want it to be able to, unless we're heating it somehow directly. Well, I mean, I think either way, it's going to be induction because you don't want to heat it directly. You don't want to heat the Orin directly, otherwise you'll burn it next to the heat.
Yeah.
So it's going to be some kind of induction. So it has to be a material that can heat up, that is containing it, that won't, via that heating process or the exposure to the Orin, which especially with its organic biominerals seems to be what really corrodes, especially kinds of metal. So it needs to be resistant to organic biomineral degradation, which turns me off of metals. And then it needs to be able to withstand heat without, donating plastic. And again, like remember Breaking Bad, they can dissolve bodies in vats of hardcore acid inside plastic tubs. That's totally real. There's plastic tubs that don't degrade under high acid conditions. So I doubt that heat would do it. So we might end up in like one of those totally terrifying looking containers, but it might work. And Monica's shoot had a double boiler sort of induction thing, which is kind of what I'm thinking, Nick. Which is you've probably seen it. There was a video came out like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
Monica, she was in the tub too, and it's totally black, so you can't see anything, right? Yeah, it's kind of a double boiler where you got water on the outside. It can be whatever water. And you take like a cement heater, an immersion heater, really powerful heater, and you stick that in the moat outside of it. And that heats up that water on outside, and then it just inducts into the middle. And so I'd much rather have that container, which has water on both sides, Orin in the inside and, tap or whatever on the outside. I would much have that be this kind of indestructible plastic as opposed to metal, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. But the metal thing with the kind of coil and induction, it would be so cool. It would look so nice, and we could heat it with like a fire. You would think it would be a fire underneath something that's inductive.
Okay.
Something along
a lot of ideas.
Because back to what we can do right now, all of us, the aged Orin on the skin, because of its negative charge, it pulls out lymph like crazy. And, you know, there's all these lymph practices that are actually quite arduous, like long walks should do it. They're great, but still, we don't do them every day. Rebounding, probably most effective one that isn't soaking in pee. But, you know, there's the rubbing and all that. But, you know, there's so much lymph. It's such a thing, you know? We kind of get it fixed and then it comes right back, you know, because our organs are detoxing into it. I was boiling water. I didn't.
Because of the complications with the bathing, I avoid it. Because it's so simple to get a bowl of it and pour aged urine in and just slap your hand in and go, slap your hand in, and then it drinks all in. You don't waste it, and
yeah,
it's a good process.
Because when you you'd have to have a ton of storage space to save up enough urine.
Yes.
To fill a tub, and then you need to, you know, depending upon how often you want to take these urine baths.
Want to filter it.
Yeah, that
I know. And then it'll pull up the.
Well, I don't think the filtering is actually bad for it. I think it loves it. What you end up with is sediment and mucus, and it just through cheesecloth, not any kind of chemical filtration. Yeah. And then what you get after that is this beautiful crystalline age that is more negatively charged, because all the positive charge, a lot of it that was from toxins, is trapped in the mucus and the sediment, which was then taken out of it. I made a prototype of this in my New York City apartment, and it did exactly that. So I would soak in it, and it would pull more lymph out of my skin, which is the real promise of it here. Is you know, basically you're in that thing, and you can just scrape the lymph off your skin. It's incredible. This black, I mean, it's lymph because that's what that could be. But it's like kind of sandy and black, and it's not just dead skin, because there's a ton of it. If it was dead skin, you'd be without skin.
Yeah, I was doing it. Yeah, I was doing it all day. I'd push really hard and it'd just roll off a layer. It's uric acid too, the black stuff.
Oh,
and I get my whole body 360.
Because urea is different than uric acid. Urea is a hydrogen donator. It's really good for us. But what's uric acid?
Well, this is what I've learned. It's uric acid from eating meat. It's black, it's on your skin, and then starch comes out your head from starchy vegetables. The white, it's white, dandruff. And then that starch goes to the bottom of your feet too. And that's from carbonic acid.
Oh, wow, that makes a lot of sense. I eat a decent amount of starch because I like slow digesting carbs. You know, I want that kind of slow drip of sugar. But I get dandruff. And yeah, so is the uric acid like a nitrogenous waste product from meat, kind of in that category?
Seems like it.
I don't know. Anyway, that's enough from me. Thanks, guys.
Sage.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do the hand up thing, so I'll just put a hand up.
Yeah.
I talk with people all across the planet every day, and so when it comes to the bath, some people going, I don't have 5 gallons, 8 gallons, 10 gallons stored aside. It may take almost forever for a lot of people. Well, thank you. He's got like
showing off his collection.
7 gallons apiece.
So listen, guys. First of all, remember that this water, this beautiful water, it sterilizes, neutralizes, alchemizes, transforms anything it touches. So if you don't have enough to fill up your bathtub, at least that you can, you know, sink down into and get your body saturated, don't worry about it. Use what you got. Even if you're pouring it into city water, it's going to purify and sterilize the city water. You know, we have to watch our mindset about, oh, well, I can't do a bath because I might have to put in city water. Well, people put in city water if they need to heat it up because they don't want a cold shock, or if they're doing an enema and they don't want cold aged urine. It's not going to hurt you, but let me put it that way. It just won't be full strength.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, and it's good to just get going on it too, and not let all these blockages take you over. Oh, I can't do it because this, that, and the other.
True. Yeah.
Well, the other thing, which is the backup, for those that know what I'm all about, is foot soaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Foot soak. We got a potential reflexologist right here on this call. This is going to get all the reflexology points in your feet. So you want to put enough urine in there, like, I don't know, a half a gallon to a gallon to cover yourself up all the way to your ankles, because the ankles represent the reproductive organs, the genitals, and okay. And then everything else is going to be in the soles of your feet. So if you can give yourself a 30-minute foot soak, boy, that'll make a big difference.
Okay. Yeah. I like that.
It's also a great introduction for people who are going, I'm not going to drink my pee. Are you crazy? Are you in a cult? You go, okay, you can tell the symptoms where their mind's at real quick. You start dialing it down, right? Well, would you be willing to put your feet in it? You don't have to drink it. So most people are going, okay, that's not a big of a leap for them. They'll soak their feet in it. And then as you turn around, you start giggling because you realize that if you touch your skin anywhere, you're drinking it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Our
100%.
skin absorbs everything.
Everything. One time we spent a while in this hot spring in the Verde Valley in Arizona, and it was carbonated. It had a very signature taste. I took a drink of it, and it was incredibly fizzy and carbonated, right? Wow. Okay. Well, maybe the next day or that day, I drank my urine after we bathed in this hot spring water, and it tasted identical to what it tasted like when I drank it. It was identical. So all of that carbonated, fizzy hot spring water went through my skin, whatever pathways, into my kidneys, and then out my pee, and it was identical.
And he wasn't drinking a ton of this
I just had
hot
it-
spring water either. He just like tried
Had
a taste of it to see
Yeah.
what it was like. Yeah.
So, for the people that think that the skin is impermeable
Mhm.
and it doesn't transfer into your whole body, it certainly does. I tasted it.
Well, don't use that as a reason not to go outside.
Another miracle with this stuff is, how can something, if you just let it sit, name another thing out there that you just let sit and it gets more alkaline with time. How is that even possible?
And it doesn't like mold or anything. Like most things you let sit out, it would just go bad.
Especially if it's a waste product. We won't even entertain that for more than a second.
Yeah.
But you urinate. I played with pH strips and urine for about a year straight, sometimes 10 times a day. This stuff, I'd have probably about pH 7 urine. And if you'd let it sit for up to like 3 or 6 months, I had some up to 12 pH. I think 12 and a half. 12 and a half. That's remarkable. And it cleans everything too.
Yeah, it's a great cleaner. It cuts through. Like if you have like, I don't know, sticky tape stuck to something, just rub some urine on it and it comes right off.
Yeah. Glue.
Yeah.
I just wonder if it's ammonia related. The ammonia seems to increase for a while, like maybe even a couple months after the urine ages, and then it diminishes, especially if you air it out and you keep it healthy and in contact with the sun. It's a temporary process, which seems to me to be in line with the formation of mucus and sediment in there, which is, the sediment especially is not necessarily all bad, but it does seem to be part of a cleaning process.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate my proof on that, when I had the Orin tub, when I set the mucus and sediment aside, the tub more quickly pulled out lymph out of my skin, which to me is a magnetic process. So it seemed very clear to me that when I filtered it through cheesecloth, removing the mucus and the sediment, the Orin tub was a more net negative. I wish I had a ORP meter, but it was dramatic what I'm talking about. Also, there would be a lot of mucus in it because I would be soaking in it. So it would be quite full of mucus and sediment, and then it would be completely empty of it. And, it worked better at pulling out mucus, seeds, and sedimenty stuff out of me when it wasn't itself full of mucus and sedimenty stuff, which to me is a charge mechanism. So there we are. So I think the mucus and sediment process is sequestering positively charged stuff. And the presence of ammonia seems to completely be in tandem with the creation of the mucus and the sediment. When I got rid of the mucus and the sediment via filtration through the cheesecloth, it smelled less like ammonia, dramatically so. So I'm wondering if this increased negative charge, at least in the beginning, it has to do with ammonia, but all we got is a correlation, not a causation. I have no idea. I think the net negative charge of the Orin has more to do with the water than it has to do with the minerals, Nick. I know that's a little different than what you were saying. But of course, we have a proven mechanism of negative water with the fourth phase easy water arrangement itself being negative.
It is. It's the water, yeah.
Yeah.
It's structured water. Structured water creates the negative charge, like the Kangen machine or the hydrogen machine. If you put it in a crystalline shape, the shape pulls in the ether, the negative voltage. It's the special shape of the water that does it.
How long does that structure last? Because some people were concerned that, for example, the Kangen water machines, they couldn't hold a high pH charge for very long, so they stopped using the machine. So I was wondering, how long can a crystalline formation exist when you use these devices? Now, you mentioned a high pH. Some of you know one of our colleagues, Chitta knows him, Doc Mike Whitord. He showed up at in Boulder because we had one of our mutual friends who were into urine therapy for like 40, 50 years, ended up at the hospital. And so he brought his 13-year-old urine, which not only tested a 13 to 14 pH, it was dark as you can imagine. It didn't have a smell, and it didn't taste bad at all.
Yeah, always. If it's really old, it stopped tasting weird, it stopped smelling bad. It's crazy.
When it's old like that, it's incredibly smooth. It's like the smoothest thing you've ever tasted. It's like it's in a different dimension.
Yep.
It's really weird. It's really weird.
Someone was saying in the just a few minutes ago, and I think he's referring to that, like, I call it a SCOBY that sometimes forms. Have you guys experienced that? You know what that is?
They got that guy on YouTube talking about doing enemas with those scobies. Yeah, he's got that channel. Have you guys seen that?
They're totally fine. People get them all the time. They were concerned about it because it doesn't look liquidy. They're going, what, am I growing a kombucha culture in here or what? I said, it's concentrated stem cells. It's concentrated white blood cells. It's concentrated nutrients. Stir it up, drink it, apply it. You don't waste it. They need a new association with it.
It's the best part of it.
Yes, Emily.
I was gonna say, I really like that we don't limit to only drinking the liquid portion, or there's like so many different ways that we can use every single aspect of it. And when we think about even like fruit juicing, and how some people might agree like, oh, okay, you're going to juice the fruit and just the liquid is okay, but eat the whole vegetable, eat the whole fruit too, and you can get anything from it. So it's not limited, but I kind of relate those two ideas.
Yeah, it's like a whole food.
Yeah.
Whole drink.
Would you think it's like kind of more like a homeopathic medicine when you're dealing with that thicker stuff where I do think that that's sequestering positively charged material, and so yeah, it's a sequestering and neutralized form of toxic stuff, I think. So that can be very powerful in the sense of it allowing your body to adapt. I collect it like this. This is after I filter it. I just wring out the cheesecloth, and then this accumulates. Yeah, there's stuff on top. Most of it's sinking. But that's quite a layer of stuff down there. And it skews grayish white, which, I don't know, kind of speaks like white blood cells. If in fact white blood cells are white, I don't know. Which, is an immune, which is more accurately a detox, sequestering thing. And so, yeah, especially as an enema, because, your colon is meant to deal with toxic things, and it goes right to the liver, whatever you put in there.
Portal vein.
Yeah. So, I would probably either dry out a little bit and snort it, but I would be faster to put it up the rear end. Yeah. Now, if you're soaking in it, I just really recommend the cheesecloth because it's more pleasant. It doesn't smell as bad. It's still a crystal, but it's more liquid, and so it's like you're soaking in mucus.
That's an important thing too that you brought up about like snorting the dried crystals, but you can also snort like the liquid too. Like if if you're having like headaches and your brain feels like constricted, just snort some urine, and it's pretty intense, but it's like that hurts so good.
Fresh urine is okay.
Yeah, fresh urine isn't, but any time you like put water up your nose, when you're a kid and you're swimming and water goes up your nose, that feeling, that's
totally.
like the intense part. But yeah,
I've had sinus trouble my whole life, so I'm a little hesitant, but yeah, it's quite fun. It's like a total here now experience.
yeah, it is.
Have you seen these guys extracting psychedelic DMT from their urine?
Would it be like from this accumulation?
I don't know how they did it. I seen it like 5 years ago, and I was hoping to follow up with the fella or, keep in touch. But I don't remember where I found that. But it was a thorough post, and he had the final product and everything, and kind of briefly how he did it. But yeah, he extracted DMT, smokable psychedelic DMT from his urine.
Well, I read some articles that autistic children have more DMT in their blood, and it comes out in their urine. So the notion that DMT can be in the urine has been corroborated by that evidence. I can say that.
Yeah, it's definitely in it, especially if you collect your 3 a.m. urine or your morning urine. And then what about the guy that extracts gold from his urine and then teaches you how to mint it in the end of the book?
I haven't read that one. That's cool.
Crazy.
We had it as a PDF and it's gone now. I guess we weren't ready for it.
Yes.
We can't find it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, if the title of the author, someone can search it.
I don't know where it is. I sent it to you, Sage, like 6-7 years ago. I tried scrolling back in our conversation. I couldn't.
Well, I've been digging into the Brother Sage urine therapy vault for all kinds of reason. I've got more research, more data, more testimonials, more this and that stored in different files in emails and in social media platforms and multiple devices. Working with a gentleman out there in Nashville, we're designing, it's already open for business, the Shivambhu lifestyle store, the one-stop shopping place where you can get all your devices, nebulizers, foot soaks, enemas, you name it. And that book would fit right in there.
I know.
Can we go back to the nose for just a minute?
To the nose?
Back to the nose sniffing, nose snorting, nose drinking. Now, it was Samuel Cohen, because of his mentor, Kelly Raw, out there in England. They mastered nose drinking out of a water bottle, out of a coffee cup, out of a fine wine glass. And that's for the more advanced people who aren't concerned about, not doing it right. It's just a matter of practicing this muscle behind the bone, behind the eyebrows, and making it pull the urine up the nose. But it's not only decalcifying the pineal gland, it's rehydrating the sinuses, it's opening up your third eye. Well, throughout the day, if you will get little bottles like these, they're either a pump spray or a plunger type. I keep them everywhere. I'm kind of into this, if you hadn't noticed. So I have it in my car, glove box, backpack, bathroom, room, whatever it is. When you're going through your day and your brain ain't tracking and you're offline and you can't think straight and your creative juices are gone, snort some, spray some, drink some up your nose, and it won't take long before all of a sudden the fog clears up.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So make a new connection, guys that are watching this. Make a new connection between your nose and your brain. Yeah. Because when you're drinking it or using a neti pot, it's only going to go from nostril to nostril, or it's going to only reach the lower torso. Your brain is running a show. You got to get it nourished.
Yeah, that's important. Someone was asking about enemas. Anybody want to share their experience with that? How you do it, how often you do it? Yes, let's unmute you, Emily. There we
Yeah.
go.
Whoops. 1 second, actually.
Okay. I know Nick does urine enemas every day, all day long.
Yeah. At least 3 times a day. You have to get that toxic poo out when I'm drinking aged urine all day long, and I have this mix with clay and zeolite and fulvic acid and DMSO and another fulvic shale acid. I put all the detox and stuff in here all the time, and I'm drinking that, and my guts will get toxic, and I have to get that out because I can tell as soon as that stuff starts working and peeling away all that old gunk in the intestines, it starts getting in my bloodstream, and I can feel it right away. My vision immediately will start to go a little funny, and I know I got to get that poo-poo out. So I do an aged urine enema, and boom, it's gone. But I feel good. Sage, you got a bag.
Yeah, you get the bag.
I just want to say before our lovely water sister Emily comes on with her story is that we need to give a definition of what an enema serving size is, because some people will look at an entire bag. Some people have the vagina pump like Chitta has, and some people have a little metal container, and they think, well, the whole thing is the enema serving size, right? Well, it's as much as you can hold at any one time. If it's only like a fourth of the bag, that's your serving size.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's a good point. And
Right. So when people go, oh, Nick, oh, he does 2 or 3 a day. What's his serving size?
right, yep,
Yeah,
that's
it's
true.
it's only this 150 milliliters. It's a
Oh, with
little
the
syringe.
Mm-hmm.
The syringe is the best, I think, for me.
Yep.
It's really easy, real fast. Don't have to lay down. Amazon, $5. This is my 10th one. And then I tape it right there so it doesn't leak or fall apart.
Yeah, they don't last forever, but yeah. Samaj is asking, do you lay on your left side when you do the enema?
I don't.
I don't have my back. For the guys who've been doing it a lot, Nick might have a setup kind of similar to mine, but you create a little system. I'm using a bag, so I know, okay, there's going to be a towel on the floor. There's going to be the bag's going to be filled up. I'm going to get oil for the tip. There's going to hang a place to hang it over a doorknob or a towel rack, whatever it is, right? You know what you're going to do. When you're done, you flush the toilet, and the job's not done until you clean up the equipment in the bathroom. So when you're doing a series of 4 or 5 or 6 of those, you're looking at about 40 minutes of your time. 45 minutes.
Yeah, I just have the syringe there in a couple mason jars. I have my morning, daytime mason jar, and then my nighttime mason jar. My morning one has aged urine and coffee in it. And then my nighttime one does not have the caffeine. And then it's pretty easy with the pump because I just stand there and then I just put it in there and pump it in. With the bag, you have to lay down, but I know Harry Mattadine showed me that pump, and that's the only thing I've ever used, but it's a slick way to do it.
You're standing or bending a little bit so it gets the right angle.
Yeah, standing and bending over a little bit. I don't lay down afterwards. Sometimes I do, but yeah, I do that a lot. Because we keep moving from Mexico and then back here, and then we move from Mexico. I always end up collecting like one time I collected 40 gallons of aged urine. It was about a year old and black. And then right before we moved, I did an enema with all of it. I did that twice.
In like 3 weeks. It was crazy.
That's just a fun fact. Your body can take as much urine as it possibly can take even 100 gallons.
Mm. Yeah. One thing that I've been wanting to talk about is like storage methods. I personally think that glass is the best, but obviously if you're wanting to store large amounts, then, you know, there's not really, I guess they do have those 5-gallon glass storage containers that you can get, but yeah.
Glass jars.
We just use glass jars like apple juice. You can get apple juice glass jars, 1 gallon.
Mason jars. Yeah.
Yeah, mason jars too. Yeah.
I like to leave a little air in there. It ages better. And if you can leave some air and do a cloth,
Cheesecloth.
cheesecloth top,
Yeah.
or for like the apple jars, I just wad up a thing of cheesecloth and
Shove it in.
yep, so you don't have to wrap it around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want it to
Another-
breathe.
Another thing you can do, by the way, I like to add a little bit of detail into the cover part of it. Another thing that's real simple is get a lid that's oversized,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and boom, that's done. People
As long
ask
as
all the time. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, as long as it gets some airflow.
You're going to give it some airflow. However, there are some of us have actually screwed on the lid and left it for years, and it was just fine. However, if you've got a metal tip inside liner, it's going to corrode this stuff, and you get a little black sediment everywhere. So that's where you can put either cheesecloth over it or get a different cover for it.
Right.
I noticed that today. You got to get the plastic lids, the mason lids. Yeah.
The reason I'm telling you there's alternatives because part of the wisdom that comes with this water is that you can't do it wrong. You can't mess up this journey, by the way. Some people want to use a cheesecloth. Some will use a flax sprouting bag, a hemp bag. Some will use a nylon stocking. Some people use a coffee filter, and some people screw on the top. All right. The main reason you cover it is so nothing flies in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But since it's such a powerful sterilizing, antibacterial, antiseptic water or substance, nothing can grow in there except the urine.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Yeah, we at one point we weren't using lids, and there was, I don't know, something got in it, some bug, little squigglies.
Laid
squiggly
eggs in there
larvae.
because it's the
Yeah.
best medium to grow life.
Yeah, so we had to get rid of that, but
Yeah,
it's
you want to have
important
the
to cover it.
it when you do have the lid on the top, it ages a little slower, it seems like. But then again, it's also good, especially if you leave some air, because if I were to leave this and forget about it for 2 years with a cheesecloth lid, it would all evaporate and you wouldn't have any left.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one more pointer for you guys who live in cold environments like Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Do not leave your jars of urine in the garage or
Nope.
outside unless you've got a good inch or two of air in there, because I walked in there once and all these jars are just broken apart, scattered everywhere was urine and glass, and that's how I learned that lesson.
Yeah.
In Colorado.
In Colorado, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the tricky part here is we live in like less than 400 square feet. We live in a yurt, and we just don't have like a ton of space to store in the wintertime. In the summer we can put it outside, but yeah.
Yeah, they say you want to go 1 inch below the shoulder of any glass, and it shouldn't crack.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it has room to grow, to freeze and expand if it has to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it shouldn't crack if you do that. I'm still trying to learn all that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's a question for people. What's the most unusual? Emily, you ready for your Enema share?
Yes.
Yeah, it was kind of bad timing actually. My roommate just came back, and when I was about to speak,
Yeah.
that's what people have to do sometimes. But I've just been on this journey, meeting more people that I can talk to, and like Matt Senna, he's helped me a lot, and he actually gave me my first enema, kind of walked me through it because I've been resisting for a long time. Just the fact of it feels like it would be scary. People don't know what to expect. It's not something you can really post about, or people just feel uncomfortable getting into it in a way. So I'll show you my kit, which he recommended, and I put it in the comment link. Basically, it's a vaginal douche pump. So you can just take the pump and you just put it together, 3 parts. And this is the tube. So it's so thin, right? So once you stick it up, it's like easily holding. It's not like you have to really hold it in there. It's just gonna stay. And you can get any type of container. Like you don't have to, I store mine and then I just put it in this pan. Sometimes I'll heat it up with a little warm water because I just prefer it when it's warm, so it doesn't really feel, I don't know, it's just better warm because it's like the same temperature as your insides. So yeah, that was that, and thank the Lord Matt helped me through that. Funny enough, he gave me my first enema and it was with his pee because he had it stored. So that was an experience, but you know, it's good. We have each other. We have each other's backs, and he's my water brother forever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting topic too, is like to share or not to share.
It's liquid Venus.
Yeah. And like, let's say your gut bacteria, I don't know if this is like related to urine or more so. Is there gut bacteria in urine?
I'll have to
I
look.
wonder. Yeah.
Well, there's probiotics, postbiotics, and prebiotics in urine,
Yeah.
and all the enzymes.
So I guess what I'm leaning towards is like, if you do, when you do share, let's say you don't have like the best gut bacteria health, and you share somebody's, like you use somebody else's urine that does, then that could help your own
Well,
gut bacteria.
it's a blueprint of
Maybe.
your system, and you have good digestion. I don't.
Right.
So I would want to use your urine, which I have, and I would assume that would make my digestion slightly better. Also, you have more tissue salts because the urine contains all 12 tissue salts that make up the cremated remains of the human body. Your levels of tissue salts in your urine are different to mine.
Right.
My tissue salts in my urine would be weak on sodium chloride, calcium sulfate, but you will have high of that. So it would be good to consume your urine in that aspect.
Yeah.
There's also the immunity factor. A lot of people would try each other's urine. Now, this is something I learned from Doc Mide Whitord. He was exchanging his urine with his clients and found out that every time he did that, he felt like he had double the immune power. So it's like you have the immunity strength of 2 or more people when you do that. Now, he's been at it for a while, and when he got up to 50 of his students and clients, and they were exchanging back and forth, I'm going, how do I compete with that? I've had 15 of my friends and students, we've traded each other's urine out. But what it teaches you, it's a universal remedy. It works regardless of your considerations. Whether it's a man's, a woman's, an adult, a child, a healthy person, a sick person, a different race, or even a different species, because we know about people in certain countries that drink cow urine, camel urine. People have had their animals' urine. And a lot of people are coming forward and telling us how they've been healing their dogs and cats and their precious pets with their urine.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
We need to keep it rolling. It's a lot more active than it was 10 years ago. Way more active, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, as far as like people
About
hearing about it,
people
knowing
using it,
about
talking about it. Yeah, knowledge on it seems pretty common.
it's common, and what I like to call it is the new norm.
Yeah.
And we've already hit the tipping point. We've already moved into this new paradigm because of, thanks to the fake-demic, I guess there's no algorithm on this call. Thanks to what happened in 2020, a whole lot of people realized the medical industry was not our friend anymore, and they'd been lying to us. So they were been seeking out alternatives. And what shows up on their radar? Urine therapy. So guys, we're in the right time in our history. And there's more loud voices and more people with a high reputation like Group and Otto and Patrick McKay and all these big name people are adding, Troy Casey, they're all adding their names to it, which basically teaches all their networks to spread it out to their networks. So it couldn't be a better time to be discussing the subject.
Truly. Yeah, it's one of the only things that would break up the thick blood so swell. And it's free. Nattokinase is in the urine, which is a blood clot destroyer. And if you have blood clots, your urine, your body's producing extra nattokinase for you because you're supposed to be drinking it.
There is also nicotinic acid or nicotine, or you guys still think you want to chew nicotine gum or do a nicotine patch because of the spike protein. That seems to be in the urine. We've already identified that.
God,
Yeah.
there's a lot in it. There's a lot in it for that.
Yeah. It's just going to keep like, it's like that snowball effect. You know, we're sharing on this call. If you guys are all okay with it, I'm going to go ahead and post it on our YouTube channel. Please let me know if you're not, and I can like, you know, X out your name or whatever. Yeah. And the more we share, the more people hear about it, and then they share, and it just keeps, the snowball keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then pretty much like everyone knows.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I'll unmute you, Emily.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I learned about urine therapy from social media, and I'll quickly say that it was actually because my friend was making fun of Nick Abushadi, and they were wondering why was he doing this practice, you know? So my realization that I could work with this or it would benefit me came from almost like someone joking about it. And that's the thing, you know, it's about energy. It's not about what's right or what's wrong, you see? So I was able to see it for what it was. And people who question it, people who do generally have some maybe issues or feel it's gross at first, people can be unsure, right? But it's still presented to them. It's being downloaded to them for a reason. So they could, it's just about time, like if they're ready to do it or they're not ready to do it, you see? So maybe something negative can be not just because it's negative. And I met Brother Sage through his calls because he was posting on YouTube. And because of Brother Sage gathering all these people together, like Matt Senna, I met Matt Senna. We fell in love. It's a P world out here. It's everyone is welcome to always laugh and share, and it just connects you. So that's why I'm grateful for urine therapy, honestly, just because the people. It's not just because of the health, it's because of the people, like Nick and Crystal and Sage making this meeting.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Now that's a very, very, very important thing to bring up, Emily, because the people who they're a little bit held back, a little shy about telling their partner, their husband, their wife, their kids, their friends, et cetera, et cetera. However, we've got a most sensitive, compassionate, loving community worldwide that anybody can plug into. You can talk about the things you don't feel comfortable talking about with other people. You could admit freely, like I'm going to admit, is I pee in the tub? Who doesn't, right? And so you can feel at ease and feel safe talking about a subject that you might feel is uncomfortable or controversial with other people. So definitely take advantage of these social media platforms. And a lot of the people, like some of them you see on this line, are best friends forever. We love you guys, not going nowhere.
Yeah, we're only growing closer together.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think we covered a lot today. I'd like to do this again.
Yeah,
because there's so much more.
Yeah, we can speak on regrowing teeth, changing eyesight, these books, immortality, physical immortality.
Yeah.
I talk about that real quick.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, what's the real age cap of a human? Is it 60? Is it 120?
The age cap of a human, well, I can prove that you're not going to die. Really simple. Look at your birth certificate and see if you can locate an expiration date. It doesn't exist. It's a programming. Death has been built into our culture for thousands of millennia because they don't want you to know your powers, your light, your God essence, because you'll stick around and outlive them. And so what keeps it perpetuating the death mentality, the death urge on the planet, is people are feeling helpless and hopeless and scared and uncertainty, and they have judgments of themselves. They want to die. I mean, if people put too much attention on the outer directed world, it looks hopeless. But it's an inside journey. And the people who found peace in themselves, people who have found a reason to go on living and to love life more and appreciate their friends and do their practices, these are the ones who don't have misery in their soul. The people who are miserable are the ones that want to leave and check out. And so all the people who are leaving the planet right now, we can't be as sad as we'd like to be, because they're making a choice. And this is what Leonard was preaching. There's a major release and purge of the death consciousness. And so immortals are going to start popping up. You'll hear it in our conversations more. And don't be surprised if you and I, keep talking for the next 300 or 400 years, just to see what to learn.
I know, it'll go fast too. It's not that long. 100 years isn't that long. It's 100 seasons, right?
It's 100 seasons.
It's easy. Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
We've even got these wood beads from a 400-year-old lady in South India. Yeah, it's easy. They do it all the time. We can do it too. And you need urine for it.
Yeah.
Well, if you're urine for immortality, you'll achieve it.
Very good. Well, I want to thank you all for being here and being open to what we're sharing. And yeah, we will see you again next time. We look forward to it.